Welcome to Redeemed for Jesus with Bill Sang, formerly the Bill Sang Podcast. I'd like to thank each one of you for joining us for this episode and would like to remind you to like, share, and subscribe. And please feel free to comment below to let us know if you have any questions or if there's anything you like about this program. Enjoy the show. So we had the Super Bowl, and I think the very first thing that we need to say is that probably the most satisfying thing, in my opinion, even though some people have disagreed with me on this, and I don't know how you can disagree with me on this, is that the Super Bowl commercials were actually really good, I thought. Overall, I mean, maybe they weren't like exactly like what they used to be back in the day, but I thought all in all the Super Bowl commercials were really good. And Melissa said that it was the worst one, and I said I think it's one of the best ones. Which one was that, Melissa?
It was advertising AI. I don't know which phone or
Starring Chris Hemsworth inside of the commercial, by the way.
yeah, and he was imagining the AI closing the garage door on him, and he would be in the swimming pool, and he was imagining the cover, coming over top of his head. So I thought it was pretty frightening.
Yeah, I thought that it's one of the funniest Super Bowl commercials, and it was really good because it contrasted. Okay, Chris Hemsworth walks in with a poisonous snake. He's Australian, and then he sees his wife with an AI program, and he points out how dangerous the AI is. So I thought it was pretty brilliant. Real quick, this is Redeemed for Jesus with Bill Sang, and I got my wife Melissa Sang along with me again. And before getting too heavy into things, we're going to start off with some of the Super Bowl commercials we really liked. We're going to talk a little bit about the TPUSA halftime show. Yeah, sure, we might talk a little bit about the Bad Bunny halftime show as well, but not as in depth because I didn't see it. I don't care to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't think you should see it. I don't think anybody should see it. I don't know too much about it. I understand that maybe it was or wasn't really, really obscene. I don't know. I don't care. I really don't want to see it. So, anyway, so we're going to start off with some of the commercials. First one is for Xfinity, and it has Jurassic Park.
Online without. Whoa, this place is awesome. By the way, you should have plugged this in.
That could have been bad.
Well, this is going to be a lovely weekend. How did you do this? I'll show you. If you like Gina, come on. Do the roar again.
Okay, that's good right there. So basically, Xfinity is responsible for saving Jurassic Park. The movie, of course, they shut down all the computer systems, and it messes everything up. The dinosaurs all get loose and start eating people. Well, in this version, Xfinity saves the day, and the system stays up, and the park opens as it's supposed to, and it's wonderful. So, really fun Super Bowl commercial. Melissa, there's one that you thought was that was pretty dear to your heart, I guess you can say.
Ham, touching cheese, touching you. Sweet sandwich time. Hellman's makes it taste so good. This is how I make friends. I'll swear you out.
So it's a play on Sweet Caroline. Neil Diamond. It's not Neil Diamond, obviously, but he's squirting Hellman's mayonnaise on everybody's sandwiches. So I guess they say this place has a spot in my heart as well, even though I'm more of a Miracle Whip guy myself, but I definitely enjoy some mayonnaise on a sandwich. So very good commercial, funny commercial. I thought it was wonderful. And now I believe we get into the halftime show to talk a little bit about that as well. So we ended up watching the TPUSA, so Turning Point USA halftime show, which was an alternative to the Super Bowl halftime show featuring Bad Bunny, who is Puerto Rican. And it's funny because if you have to go really far, if you have to provide an explanation as to why the person performing at the halftime show is performing at the halftime show, you already know you picked the wrong person. I guess I will go ahead and comment on Bad Bunny. I didn't watch it, didn't listen to it, didn't listen to any of his music. I don't care to listen to any of his music. One, because I won't understand a single word that he says. Two, he threatened to go to the Super Bowl in a dress. I'm sorry, right there, you lost me already. And number three, I also heard that. So there's some controversy with what he said because I heard that his songs can contain some very explicit language. Now, online, as I'm trying to find out, they're saying that no, he edited those out for the Super Bowl and that they did censor some of the quote unquote bad words he was saying, which I don't know how you would know what he's saying. He's speaking in what, Spanish? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. They're being honest because just because the language, quote unquote, was not explicit, because we know there's words we cannot say on public television or the radio or whatever, doesn't mean that he didn't. Because what I read or what I heard about the lyrics to his songs wasn't that he's using like F bombs and bad words, but he's describing things that, like, dude, that's like definitely crossing the line. And ironically, of all things, the alternative, the clean halftime show featured at Turning Point USA, featured Kid Rock. Melissa, what were your thoughts on the TPUSA halftime show?
I was really impressed with Kid Rock because he had so much energy, and I guess the most impressive thing is how high he could jump. And I thought, man, that looks really fun. He just really came out just having fun, and yeah, I like his music, and the fact that he's famous, and it was all for, Turning Point having an all American halftime show, a Christian halftime show. I think, for someone that's for America and for Jesus, I think they got to win, in our book.
And as I look online at some of the comments, people are giving TPUSA a hard time for selecting Kid Rock to do their halftime show. And I think that there's a fundamental difference between how we as Christians and frankly as Americans view certain people versus how the liberal left views them. Because the liberal left, I don't know if you've noticed this, Melissa, but I've noticed very much they don't have forgiveness. Like they do not forgive. Like once somebody is somebody, that's who they'll be forever. And they have been pointing out like lyrics in some of Kid Rock's songs that, yeah, I would disagree with. And well, first of all, none of the songs that Kid Rock performed, and I don't know about the first song. I remember my brothers and I used to make fun of that song. I don't even know what it's called. And when it goes bong, bong, bang, bang, whatever, we used to make fun of that song all the time. And I don't think I've ever truly ever listened to it all the way through. So I don't know if it has any bad lyrics in it or not. But they didn't even play the whole song through. They interrupted it actually. And then toward the end of the show, Kid Rock shows up and he's dressed actually as himself because Kid Rock is his stage name. His real name is Robert James Ritchie. And he's actually at the end of the show performing under his real name. And he is singing a song. Well, first of all, he gives a little bit of a testimony about that there's a book on your shelf that's collecting a lot of dust that you might need to dust it off and read it. He's talking about the Bible. And then he talks about finding Jesus and second chances. Is like, this is the difference between our worldview and theirs. We believe that a bad guy like Kid Rock can be redeemed. We believe that he can turn around and that he can give his life to Christ and live a new life. And that's what he was talking about. In fact, let me play just a little bit for you here. I found a clip real quick so that you can hear a little bit what he has to say.
Sitting in your house somewhere that could use some dusting off. There's a man who died for all our sins, hanging from the cross. You can give your life to Jesus and he'll give you a second chance till you can't take it. If you got a chance, take it. Take it while you got a chance. If you got a dream, chase it. 'Cause a dream won't chase you back. If you're gonna love somebody, hold up as long and as strong and as close as you can. Till you can.
There's a huge difference between what was being celebrated with TPUSA versus the Super Bowl halftime show with Bad Bunny. Why is it that you would book a guy for entertainment that probably 90%, at least 90% of the people who are listening to the program don't even know what he's saying? Because right now, there's a debate about him using bad lyrics, like, vulgar descriptions and stuff. But do you know? Do I know? No, we don't know. It's like we don't know because we couldn't tell what he was saying.
And something that I thought about was football is such an American sport. You could go to another countries and celebrate their culture, but here in America, at the Super Bowl, we can celebrate American culture.
Yeah, and in fairness, Puerto Rico is an American territory, but it's a totally different culture.
Yeah.
It's not wholly. There's a reason why it is not an American state. By the way, I can't tell you those reasons, but Puerto Rico is a very, very different territory, United States, because it is not a state. They are governed by their own governor. In fact, that is who actually governs their. Did I say state or territory? Their territory. It's not its own country per se, and they can't vote in our national elections, even though they are a territory. So I mean, it's very murky as far as how we want to define them. I wouldn't say they're not Americans per se. On the same token, the culture that they are celebrating, like you said, is not American culture, that it's foreign culture.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to tell us through this Super Bowl halftime show that, hey, you need to be more like this. You need to conform more to the trend that we're trying to get you on of, frankly, we want to transform American culture into South American culture, which, by the way, South American culture, I'm sorry if you're from South America, but it's horrible.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I don't mean the people. I'm sure that there's many people that are wonderful from South America, but the governments are atrocious. And that's what they really want us to emulate, is the economic structure and everything that leads to people just having to live under terrible conditions in South American places. So I don't understand why you would get somebody. First of all, nobody ever heard of Bad Bunny. I know they're like, oh yeah, his record sales, blah, 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 blah. I never heard of Bad Bunny. Most people I know have never heard of Bad Bunny until the Super Bowl thing.
Yeah, and I think everything, through Obama and Biden was all about not celebrating America and, celebrating all of these illegals, that they let in. And that's not what America's about. And Trump really appreciates America. And, the people that came here legally from other countries, they are supposed to learn the language. And I think that's what I heard also. It was promoting illegal immigration. And that's not what we're about.
Every opportunity that the left gets at whatever institution might be, they make sure to try to jam things down the throats of their political opposition. And it's funny, they always accuse us on the right of doing that. And yet we allowed for instance, prayer to be taken out of schools, the Bible to be taken out of schools, and everything else that makes America America to be taken out of schools for the sake that it stepped on their sensitivities. And now they're like, oh, well, you can't handle a guy singing in Spanish? It's like, come on. No, it's not about that. I want you to consider some of the people that performed at the Super Bowl halftime show in the past. You look at people like groups like Kiss or Aerosmith or even Madonna. Even if you go to like, Beyonce, Jay-Z, those sorts of people, U2, these are people that Americans are familiar with, that they have a big following in America. And on top of that, yes, you might have a hard time understanding what they're saying on stage, but it's not for the sake that they aren't speaking English. They're speaking English, and so you can generally know what it is that they are singing. I don't understand. No, again, I understand But I don't understand why they would select somebody like Bad Bunny, stick with it, even after all the backlash there was. And my brother actually, he posted a video today that was disputing the number of people that watched the Bad Bunny halftime show versus the TPUSA halftime show, because they're trying to tout numbers of 146 million people tuned in to see the Bad Bunny halftime show. Well, my brother rightly pointed out, thank you, John, he rightly pointed out that no, they didn't. 146 million people did not tune in to watch Bad Bunny. 146 million people tuned in to watch this thing called the Super Bowl. You know, those, actually, we haven't even mentioned it yet, but those guys on the football field playing a game for all the marbles, the championship game in the NFL, the Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, which, by the way, the Seahawks trounced them pretty good. The first half was pretty competitive, but after that, wasn't too pretty for the poor Patriots.
I was hoping that the Patriots would win, but once I realized that Cooper Kupp was on the Seahawks, I was okay with them winning. I think the sooner that the game was over, the better for the Patriots.
You know, I think that Cooper Kupp is one of those quieter players you don't hear a whole lot about. As you know, he's a Christian. He played for the Rams when they won the Super Bowl. If I'm not mistaken, his career kind of took a nosedive after that. And now he's with the Seahawks, and again, they just won another Super Bowl. So he's got at least 2 Super Bowl rings to him, which I think is fantastic. Again, he's a good guy, and it's good to see good guys succeed like that. So what we want to see more of is people like that on the world stage, so to speak, performing and doing well and promoting not just American values, but Christian values as well. And I guess a lot of things have changed since 2020 as well. A lot of people like Kid Rock, Joe Rogan, and those people of the sort, that they have seen a lot of things change in America. The mask has come off with the authoritarian left, where they have shown that, hey, we want to lock you up. We don't want you to live a decent life. We want you to be debaucherous. We want you to be disgusting. We want you to celebrate bad values that are opposed to biblical values. And I mean, I mean that sincerely. They want to celebrate values that are the opposite of biblical values. And when people like Kid Rock, Joe Rogan, and others see that, I think that there has been a mass awakening, if not to Jesus, at least to the idea that, these people on the left are really, really bad. And that I don't want to be affiliated with them. I want to stand for what's right because I have children, I have grandchildren, and I want to make sure that America is the same place that I grew up in when my children and grandchildren are growing up. So that way they can live the type of life and prosperity and love and happiness that I got to do, that I got to live. And I know that in the past I've said that Joe Rogan might not be as authentic as what I said, but then again, I don't know. I might be changing my mind on that again, because I keep on hearing him talk about Jesus, about people he goes to church with and stuff. And I'm like, man, there really has been a big change. At the very least, he was saying that the people he goes to church with are the most wonderful people that he's ever met and that you would ever meet too. And it's like, wow, what is this? This is so bizarre to see these people, that could hardly speak 3 words without dropping an F-bomb, now saying that, I go to church and the people I go to church with are the most awesome and nice people you'll ever meet on the face of the planet. Wow, that is totally, totally a change of tune. And that's why I believe that entertainment in this regard matters, why the Super Bowl does matter, because it's a reflection of our culture and trajectory as Americans. And I think that the more and more that they pull stunts like they did with Bad Bunny, the more and more we as Americans need to be rejecting those programs that they put on and say, you know what, this time I might just sit it out. And like we said, we ended up watching the TPUSA halftime show. And even then, I even kind of struggle a little bit with the reality that, you know what, I could have just not watched the Super Bowl at all. I don't know if that would have done any good, because you had people buying tickets for maybe on the cheap end for like 5 figures or something. I don't know, maybe more expensive than that. I don't know. I know that the tickets to the Super Bowl are really, really expensive. So regardless of whether I watch it or not, they're going to be making lots of money off of their Super Bowl. Regardless, we want to see more stuff like the TPUSA halftime show, because it promotes American values, promotes Christian values, and we want to see America go in that direction. And I think that a lot of people got to see that, got to experience it, and I think that lots of the people that didn't tune in wish they'd tuned in, and probably will watch the replays of it as they are aired or streamed or whatever. So that's what we're all about, really, on this program, is redeeming culture for Jesus, as we are redeemed for Jesus with Bill Sang. And of course, I am Bill Sang, and I was joined today by my wife, Melissa Sang. We'd like to thank you for joining us today, for being able to talk about this topic of the Super Bowl. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave some comments. What were your favorite Super Bowl commercials at this Super Bowl? Was it Super Bowl 60? Super Bowl a lot. I think it was like LX or something like that. So thank you for joining us for this program. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment underneath. Be blessed, and thank you.